going to get ready to get started here. All right, first of all, I'd like to welcome you all, and thanks for joining today. We're doing some pretty great work here with the OneOhio program, and I think we can really get a lot accomplished for our region. So I sent out the agenda today, and I just want to do some quick introductions so everybody knows who is who and what's going on. So if we could just go down through the county order that I have listed here, if the county commissioners could introduce themselves and the county seat from that county, we go after them, that would be appreciated, just so we can kind of get a head count of who's all here today. I think that would be great. Michelle, if you could kindly take attendance here, minutes, that would be great, greatly appreciated. So first of all, I'm Carly Fitz. I've been working with Michelle and Sam, probably got a lot of emails from me, and I apologize, but I appreciate everyone working with me on that. Still got some folks coming in here, but just to get us started off, will the folks from Guernsey County, the commissioner and the county seat that are on here today, just quickly introduce yourself and say hi, and then we'll go around the room.
This is Bill Ferguson, representing the city of Cambridge, and I have Mayor Tom Moore with me.
Thank you very much.
Guernsey County Commissioner Jack Marlin.
Appreciate it. And then Monroe County.
Kevin Brooks, Village Administrator, Woodsfield.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioners from Monroe on? Alrighty, we'll come back to that. What about Morgan County? Alrighty. Well, I mean, we still have some people coming in, so we'll just circle back to that. Noble County commissioners or county seats?
They're from Village Administrator Caldwell.
Thank you.
I'm Sean Ray, the Health Commissioner for Noble County.
Appreciate it, sir.
I'm Chris Rich. I'm a township trustee in Noble County.
Thank you for joining today. Perry County.
Scott Owen, Perry County Commissioner. How you doing?
Doing well. I think we have TJ Ross that is going to be joining us from Perry County as well. I think he's just running a little bit late today. And then Washington County.
John Jackson, Administrator, Washington County Health Department.
I think I was talking to
Carly is on, but I don't know if he can hear us or we just can't hear him.
I think I talked to Clint yesterday or Tuesday, and he said he was also going to be joining with them. Alrighty. Well, we'll just head on to Coshocton County then.
Haynes Shryock, County Commissioner.
Max Crown, Safety Service Director, City of Coshocton.
Thank you. And then Muskingum County.
Zanesville Mayor Don Mason.
Molly Crooks, County Commissioner.
Thank you guys for joining. So just real quick, just kind of a rundown of how things are going to go today. We're going to have, like we just ran through those introductions, and then I want to have our appointments for the private sector done first, and then we're going to hear some words from Rachel Massoud, who's working with the County Commissioners Association to, she helped put together a toolkit for us, and she's just going to kind of give some clarity on some things. And then after that, we're going to appoint our state representative for us. So real quick though, if you didn't speak up in your health commissioner appointment, please go ahead and do so now. just so everybody knows who's who.
Corey Hamilton, Zanesville, Muskingum County Health Department.
Yep, and then we also have Sean Ray from Noble County and John Jackson representing that sector. And then for township trustees, Chris Rich from Noble. And then we have Bo Powell. Bo, aren't you from Noble or Morgan?
Morgan Township, Morgan County.
Alrighty, and then Clint, I believe, is with Charlie, if we can hear them. All right, so then if we want to go through private appointments, if you just kind of want to go ahead and speak up, I'll go ahead and write everybody's names down. Guernsey County, do you guys have a private appointment on here? Alrighty, Monroe.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, I think Monroe actually partnered up with Washington County, and we have Brandy Beaver. And then Morgan County. Alrighty. Noble. Okay, Perry County. I see you up there, Gracie.
Yes, Gracie Foreman with Perry County.
Do you kind of want to give us some background on like your organization or just some context on who you are for the group?
Yeah, so like I stated, I am in Perry County, and I actually do a lot of outreach with schools in Ohio, and a lot of what I do is about overcoming. So for instance, my situation was I grew up with two parents that suffered from addiction. So I personally didn't suffer from addiction, but I grew up with two parents, one functioning, one not functioning. One thing to keep in mind, both of them at one point, my mother had her own dog grooming business. My father was very successful at a family business. And unfortunately, they both suffered from addiction, including opioids. So my mother passed away 10 years ago to an opioid overdose. A lot had to do with different surgeries that were done to get different medications, as well as my father had 9 back surgeries. So like I stated, my mother had passed away. My father still suffers from addiction. I grew up a little bit differently than most, house to house, had my own apartment at the age of 15, and took my own path, and very strongly involved with agriculture. So doing that and being the path that I'm in, I speak to a lot of schools, a lot of youth of this could be your situation. One choice could change that. So this is what could come out of it if you choose to stay on a good path. So I do a lot of outreach in that department.
Very much appreciate the work that you do. Thank you very much. Washington County, I think Brandy Beaver was your representative. So Brandy, if you're just going to give the group some context on what it is that you do, just so they can get to know you a little bit better.
Hey everyone, I'm Brandy Beaver. I'm the Opioid Resource Navigator with Buckeye Hills Regional Council. One of the things that I do is I run a website that covers 4 counties, Monroe, Morgan, Noble, and Washington County. And it is directed towards people in or seeking recovery for opioids. And it's called myrecoverylink.org. It is a resource database. And then there's also a separate page that lists available recovery meetings in their area specifically for each night. So that way they can get information as quickly as possible. I also do outreach in the communities and work with area agencies and individuals that need recovery, or agencies that focus on recovery, by providing resource information, face-to-face interactions, peer support, and helping individuals obtain recovery or any services that they need to keep their recovery on track.
Appreciate that, Brandy. Coshocton County?
Coshocton, Leandra Davis is on, I believe.
Yes. So I'm Leandra Davis. I am from Coshocton County. I am the Family Dependency Treatment Court Coordinator. I've also, for 3 years, spearheaded a federal grant here for developing and implementing plans of safe care for families who have infants and toddlers affected by prenatal substance use and fetal alcohol syndrome.
Thank you very much. Everyone's doing such great work. And Muskingum County?
Hi, I'm Misty Cromwell, and I'm the Executive Director for the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board that serves Coshocton, Morgan, Noble, Perry, Muskingum counties. And we are responsible for ensuring that there are drug and alcohol and mental health services in each one of the counties. And that could be from kind of birth to death. So that's prevention, treatment, recovery, housing, workforce initiatives, vocational programming, residential treatment, anything along that spectrum for those struggling with mental health or addiction.
Thank you very much. So speak now or forever hold your peace if I missed you for the private appointments for any counties that are out here. Okay, so the way this works is we want to choose 3 of these individuals, but it doesn't have to just be 3. If we want to have all 4 of these on here, that's also an option. So if we just want to, we're kind of aiming for 25 individuals on the board, but if we wanted to, sorry, the other Charlie Schilling just tried to join, so yes. I don't know what's going on now. But if we wanted to have all 4 of these people in here, the board would like, I think we would be okay with doing that. Michelle or Sam, do you guys have anything to add to that?
I don't. If we as a group think that these 4 representatives would be great, it sounds like they all have really wonderful backgrounds. We can certainly choose to appoint 4 from the private sector. That will be different than the 3 that we have from township trustees and 3 from the health commissions. But it is ultimately up to you all. I think if we have 4 people who showed up for a call and are really interested in the work, then my gut instinct would be to go ahead and have them on. They all have really interesting backgrounds and cover different areas. But also if one of the 4 representatives doesn't think that they would have the time to dedicate to this, or their plate is full, which again, I totally understand. You're doing this as a service to us. I also understand if you would want to withdraw yourself too. So that's just kind of my input, Carly.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along the same lines there. So of those 4 individuals, is everyone wanting to serve, or is there anybody that doesn't particularly have the time to? Okay. Well,
Carly
yes.
From Guernsey County. I didn't know whether Karen Wiggins was on here or not. She was our private sector person. I was just wondering, she does that in our county also. So I don't know whether she.
I think you cut out there for a second, Jack, but
Karen Wiggins was Guernsey County's private sector person, and she handles the drug abuse in our area. So I don't know whether she's on here or not.
Yeah, I didn't see her join today, but I know I definitely sent out the invite to everyone that was given to me. And I mean, these appointments aren't forever. If she's still interested when we do another term, we could probably add her in.
Okay.
But,
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But as long as it's cool with everybody else here, we all can kind of come to a consensus. I think all 4 of these people would be great candidates for this because it sounds like you guys all kind of work in this field already and will be able to give us a lot of insight on these topics. So as long as there's no opposition, I think we'll be fine to have 4.
Carly, this is Charlie Schilling. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. We were having some technical difficulty here in the assembly room, but I have Clinton here, township trustee from Salem Township. He's with our township association. And then I also have Kathy Harper, which is the city treasurer that has some interest in this also. So yeah, we're ready to help out in any way we can.
Appreciate it. I saw that you guys were there. I just figured you guys were dealing with some tech issues there. So thank you for joining today.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm going to kind of hand it over to Rachel if she wants to give it a few words on her background with speaking, or with her background on creating the toolkit and just looking forward to hearing that. So thank you to all the private appointments joining us today, and we'll let Rachel take it for a minute.
Sure. Thanks so much, Carly. Thank you everyone for having me today. I see many familiar faces, but also some folks I don't know. So I am Rachel Massoud-Reedy. I am a policy analyst at the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. And I have I've been working on this OneOhio issue since October of 2019. So a long time, have been pretty involved from the association side of things. I will anybody that's heard me talk about this before, Jeanette, I know you have, I always say I am not an attorney. So nothing that I say is official legal advice. I just want to throw that out there. I have just been involved on the policy side of things for a while, and so have a lot of background. I'm not sure, Carly, how much detail you want me to go into specifically about what is going to happen in Region 12 moving forward, but I'll give a little bit of an overview. And if you're like, we've already gone through that, just stop me. I'll just start. And if it's not what you want, let me know. So basically any settlement dollars that come to Ohio are going to be distributed into the three pots, 15% going to the state, 30% coming directly to local governments. But the pot that Region 12 will be, you all as an entity will be responsible for, is the 55% pot, the foundation share. And that 55% is allocated amongst the 19 regions across the state, 19 OneOhio regions. And so Region 12 will have a set amount of dollars that is available. You'll have an amount of dollars that are available to you to fund projects and things throughout your communities. The amount that is available to Region 12 is set by a formula in the OneOhio MOU. So what I like to remind folks is this is not going to be a send people to Columbus on the statewide board to fight over which parts of the state get which amount of money. It's already set. It's set by a formula that took into account several factors of the opioid crisis over the years on different communities. So what will happen in theory is the statewide foundation will stand itself up, and then they will create a process. They will eventually say to Region 12, hey, we have X number of dollars available for you this year for projects. You'll all get together, take applications of some kind, not sure exactly how that process will work in your region, figure out which projects you want to fund in that amount in accordance with the approved purposes in the MOU. So you can't use this money to pave roads. It's got to be for abatement purposes, and there are a lot of abatement purposes, very broad range of ways you can use the money. So you will pick projects, you will send them up to the statewide foundation. The foundation will look at them, double check that they are allowable under the approved purposes, because the last thing we want to do is spend settlement dollars improperly and then have to claw that back. So they will serve as a backstop double check. And then if the projects are allowable, they will send the funds directly to the projects themselves. So this body, Region 12, will never handle any cash itself. But you all are essentially the community experts, right? The ones that are on the ground that know what your communities might need, might have identified some priorities, and will be able to accurately assess those projects and pick the most pressing ones that you think will be are worthy of funding. So that's essentially how it will work. That is a very high level overview. I will say that the foundation has not met yet, has not created procedures and bylaws. So there might be some things that I just said that might change, but from our understanding of what the MOU says, that is how it will work. Another question that I often get is, when is the money going to be available? For this particular pot, this 55%, there are some procedures and things that need to happen before the money will be available. So I can't give you an exact date. What I can say is that in the MOU, it is required that the foundation release funds at least annually. So the foundation is not going to hold on to all the money and invest all of it. They have to release funds to the regions at least once a year. Will they do it more often than once a year? Not sure. Not sure how they're going to decide to do that. The payments from the distributor settlement come to Ohio over 18 years. the Johnson & Johnson settlement comes to Ohio over, I believe it's 9 years. It's 11 payments over 9 or 10 years. So it is spread out over time. That whole $808 million pot from the distributor settlement is not going to come all at once. It's going to come over time. So those payments will be spread out. But the main thing I want to emphasize to you all is you are the ones that are controlling which projects you want to see funded and setting the priorities. And again, you all, I am impressed by all the folks that are on here and the experience. You have a lot of knowledge of what is going on in your specific communities. And this was designed so that the communities would have that input instead of just a group of people in Columbus deciding how money should get spent across the state. So I will stop there. Carly, I am happy to take questions from folks and do my best to answer those. Thanks again for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel. You really answered a lot of my questions, but I'm going to open it up to anybody else. If you guys want to just raise your hand or come off mute.
Hi, Rachel. This is Sam Miller. I'm the development director of Buckeye Hills, so it's nice to meet you. I've heard that you are the expert on this. Whether or not you take that title or not, people certainly see you as that. I just wanted to talk about a misconception I think that some counties are having, that if they individually signed on to the settlement, that they will be getting a separate payout. But based on the information that you're saying is that all money from these settlements will go through the region. Am I correct in that?
So actually, no. So I was not clear. There's 3 buckets, right? So there's the 55% bucket that will come to the region. It is the largest pot. It is going to be the largest sum of money. There is a payment that will come to each local government that signed on to the settlement individually. And I kind of glossed over that because we weren't necessarily focusing on that piece of it today, but it is that 30% bucket to local governments. There will be a check cut to each of those entities. That money is currently in escrow. However, because of several different little things, there are several attorney firms like all across the country. I think there's 3 that are double checking the math and the numbers and the amounts that would go to each entity. So the way it will work for at least the first payment is the Attorney General's office is basically going to cut physical checks to each local government. Eventually, we hope soon, but I'm getting out of the business of giving deadlines when it comes to OneOhio because they never happen. It's a very complicated issue and it's the first time we're all doing this. So hopefully, though, there will be a website at some point that might have the amounts listed. So there's going to be a resource for you all to see that information. But I don't have that info right now. I don't even have the amount of the first payment to Region 12 right now. We just don't have that information available. But there will be direct money coming to locals and direct money coming to the foundation. The difference between the two is that the local government share, so that 30% that's coming in a physical check cut directly to the governments, can be spent on past expenditures, so it can be used to reimburse yourself. The foundation money can only be used prospectively, so that 55% pot can be used prospectively. Both pots have to be used in accordance with the approved purposes in Exhibit A of the MOU. Does that help?
It does. And I just have a clarifying question. So every township, village, city, county is going to get some of that 30%, or only those governmental bodies that signed on to the case will?
So there are a couple layers of this. In order to be eligible to receive funds at all, an entity needed to have spending in 15 relevant categories, or at least one of 15 relevant categories in the 2012 census data. There were some smaller local government entities in Ohio that did not meet that criteria, did not have that spending. So they were not eligible to receive settlement dollars. If a government chose to not opt into the settlement, I know of at least one county, not in your region, that chose to continue to pursue their own lawsuit against the distributors. They are not eligible to receive funding, a direct payment as well. They're not eligible to receive the settlement dollars. And then there are a couple of entities, counties particularly, that were bellwether counties that have already settled with these defendants. So they also are not eligible for these. So for the most part, yes, but there are a few qualifications. If you have specific questions about your entity, first place I would go is if you have legal representation, talk to them. Second place I would go is your specific association. So if you are a township, contact the Ohio Township Association. If you are a village or a city, contact the Municipal League or the Mayor's Alliance if you're a member. And if you are a county commissioner, you can contact me and we can talk offline about that.
Thank you very much.
Man,
Anybody
this is
else?
very complicated. Thank you so much for explaining it as best as you could.
Rachel, I have a question. I am Michelle Heyer, also with Buckeye Hills. I'm a development specialist. Just to clarify, the counties, townships, villages, whoever receives the direct settlement, receives a check, they can still apply for the region money, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Great clarifying question. Yep. And of course, there are other private entities, other entities in your communities that can also apply for that funding. It's not just available to governments.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, thank you again for joining us. Does anybody else have any questions for Rachel? I don't want to keep you on here too long. Well, I think we can probably head into our appointment for the state representative then. Rachel, I guess I do have a question for you. So like for the state representative, do you have any idea of like what those responsibilities are going to be, or how often the state board's going to meet?
Sure. Let me tell you what I know, and then I'll tell you what I don't know.
Okay.
So, and because I don't know it, it's probably because a lot of people don't know it. We are all kind of having to be a little bit more adaptable than typically all of the government entities on here, and even the folks that work for nonprofits are used to. It's a very different animal. So the founding members of the foundation board have a lot of responsibility because they're going to be the ones that are setting up the initial procedures, setting up the initial bylaws, making sure that everything is, all the ducks are in a row for the 501c3 application to try to get a nonprofit status. They will be responsible for appointing the expert panel of members of the expert panel, which will be available for counseling for both the statewide foundation board and available to the regions. They're responsible for giving, vetting and giving executive director candidates to the governor so he can select an executive director. So there's a lot of pieces of this that the founding members are going to have to be really involved in, right? You definitely want to be somebody who is going to be paying attention to those details because this is a big task. From there, in the future, I'm not sure exactly at this time what that role will look like because we don't have those procedures set up yet. So, and I'm not sure how often they're going to meet. I would assume at this earlier stage, they will be meeting more often because there are, again, all those steps that need to be taken. Mm-hmm. I also want to say that I said they're responsible for all these things. The Attorney General's office has contracted with a law firm that has an excellent tax attorney team and excellent attorneys that are working on the legal side of this. So the board members are not going to be the ones sitting there drafting every little punctuation mark in the bylaws, but they will be reviewing and giving feedback on that. Does that help?
Yes, I think so. Appreciate it. So with that all being said, does anyone have any interest in doing that or have, just kind of some background and the ability to dedicate the time to help with that? I think we have some really great candidates on this board too that would be phenomenal. Oh, and Rachel just dropped her information in the chat. So if anyone has any additional questions for her, go ahead and copy that down and we can do that.
I will say, I don't really want to volunteer someone and have it a voluntold situation. But I certainly don't want to deter you guys either from the amount of responsibility you're going to have. I think this is a really great opportunity for someone to be a really strong advocate for our region. We talk a lot about how Appalachia sometimes gets a little forgotten, and I think this is a great opportunity to take that advocacy to the state level. So if you're a county commissioner or someone who has a formal leadership title, this might dovetail really nicely with other advocacy you do. But I also think that there is a lot of worthwhile experience too with having someone who works every day with these individuals seeking care. So I really would like to volunteer. If you feel the calling, now is your time.
Not everyone jump at once. No, but just to kind of echo Sam's words, though, I do think this would be a great opportunity to kind of elevate our region a little bit and really show them our resiliency on this issue. Yeah, so
Carly, I have a question or a couple of questions. One, how often do you think this group will meet?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm not exactly sure right now, but tentatively we're planning on the second, this is the second Thursday, right? The second Thursday of the month to meet right now. So that will be, let me double check myself. I believe it's June 9th. Yes, June 9th will be our next meeting. And hopefully we will have some discussion on bylaws that we can run past you guys. In the meantime, Buckeye Hills staff will be working on that internally to make sure that, because we're going to take advantage of that Attorney General's office money and be using that for legal services. So it won't be at any cost to the counties. But for right now, second Thursday of the month until we find a pace that works for us and with the workload that we're expecting, just as, we move as fast as the state organization moves.
So do we have the ability to think about being a state representative and maybe give a response at the next meeting?
Well, unfortunately, the first state meeting is next Monday, the 16th. So we were hoping to have a representative in time for that. Not saying this is a year-long obligation, but it would be pretty fundamental if we could have somebody who's able to be up there to represent our region.
Let me ask this, Sam. I know I'm supposed to be at a meeting next Monday at 1 o'clock on the OneOhio Recovery Foundation board. Is that the same as what you're asking for now, or is that a separate appointment?
Well, yeah, that's the state board meeting there that's at 1 o'clock.
I mean, I'm willing to do it, but I don't know if I'm already on it or not.
Who did you get the invitation from? If you could find that out.
That's a good question. Well, anyway, I'm willing to do it if you need somebody. I've got it on my calendar for 1 till 3:30. Is that the same meeting?
Yes, that is the same meeting. So as far as I know, there's only one representative from each region. So I'm not really sure who sent the invitation to you. I think we all kind of got a notice for the first state meeting. So maybe that's where we got mixed up.
That's what I was going to say, Carly. We all got an email just letting us know that was the reason we had to move this meeting up.
Yes.
Well,
so
if you need someone,
maybe you picked it up. You going to do it? Are you volunteering, Dawn?
I'm willing to do it.
I appreciate that very much, sir.
I mean, I already had it on my calendar.
Well, I mean, it's just meant to be at that point then, right?
Like Dawn's being nominated. Yeah.
Mayor Mason, you will be a great representative, and we appreciate your willingness to do so.
Yes, we appreciate that very much, sir. Alrighty, well, that went very smooth. I think so. Moving on, I think the next steps for us, I just kind of mentioned briefly, Buckeye Hills staff will be working internally to find a firm to help us draft the bylaws, and we will be using the AG's office money as long as everyone's okay with that. I mean, it's free, so I would think that would be the best course of action there. And we can make sure that we get those drafted up, and hopefully we'll have something to bring to you. If not, we'll give you progress updates, and hopefully Mayor Mason can kind of report back to us on how the first state meeting went. So I appreciate you all joining us today. Any final remarks from Sam or Michelle, anyone?
I just wanted to thank Jeanette Worsicki, who's on this call as well from Omega, for her continued support in helping us out. It's been really great to work alongside the other local development district that covers this region. So thank you so much, Jeanette. We really appreciate you. And with that, we will follow up with this from this meeting with a list of the folks who are officially on the committee for Region 12. I am really excited to have gotten to this point. It's been a little crazy, so I am excited to have you all on board as we move forward and finding ways to, find ways to spend these dollars in a way that will really be impactful to our region. So if there is no other comments, I think we're good to close, Carly.
Alrighty.
Carly,
Yes.
I just had a couple questions. So all the commissioners are on the Region 12 committee that are on now.
Yes, there should be at least one representative from each county board here.
The name that we submitted.
Yes.
Okay. And then as far as bylaws, it just puzzles me. Are there going to be 19 different sets of bylaws? So each region is going to develop a set of bylaws instead of just having a yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
It's redundant. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we do have some regions that have developed bylaws that we could share. But if you are going to have council, of course, they would be more than capable of setting that up. But yes, it is a little bit different in each area, Commissioner, which is, again, very different from what we're used to.
Right. Well, and maybe it'll happen this way, but Region 11 and 12, which would be a lot of our Appalachian counties, and maybe some more similarities there with Buckeye Hills and Omega working on those. Maybe it just would seem if we could, I know we're getting the money from the AG's office to help with that, but it seemed redundant to me.
Commissioner Crooks, Region 11 just had our meeting right before this, and we did adopt a draft set of bylaws. I think during the meeting, there were a couple little tweaks made. So once the attorney gets that back to us, I would be happy to share with Region 12 as well.
Do you know what Columbus law firm they used for that, or Cleveland law firm?
It was the same law firm that helped develop the toolkit. Official and can't think of all the other.
Downey.
Yes.
Okay, I think that would be very helpful for us here in Washington County to see that. So I think it would be good for our region too, just to kind of see those bylaws.
And I can tell you though, the board structure is different than what's been organized for Region 12.
Yeah, Michelle has a lot of background in OPWC, and so OneOhio kind of gave us this freedom to shape it the way we wanted to reflect all levels of municipalities and jurisdictions. And so we kind of modeled it that way, just to have representation from all those levels there. So each organization does look a little different.
I'm going through my head a little bit, wondering about timelines. I know we don't know when or how much money's coming, but are we going to have adequate time to give notice to the communities about funding being available and the parameters around that, so that people who are interested in doing that work has time to adequately put together a proposal?
We'll just say, I can't see on the timeline necessarily, Sean. Maybe Rachel might have some information on that. But I will say that I think that at least some of the community partners that I work with here at Buckeye Hills are already kind of thinking about projects, just because there have been several pots of money that have opened up to our communities lately, that they're already starting to think of ways to utilize those. And even if some of those projects don't fit under, you know, one specific pot, we here at Buckeye Hills, and I know Omega as well, try to help folks find the funding that fits for them, the project in particular. So I think that we certainly have a little bit of a backlog of folks that we've worked with who have projects that could benefit from this that we can utilize here at Buckeye Hills. But I'm really kind of hopeful that the amount of money that's being mentioned from the governor, as well as from municipalities and local other governments as well with ARPA dollars, is getting folks thinking about ways to use that. That could just be the hopeless optimist in me that there might be some gears already turning, but that would be my inclination to say that they hopefully are already thinking about that a little bit. But Rachel, I will defer to you, whatever you say.
I think that I don't think that anybody wants to overwhelm the community partners. I think that there will be time as these procedures and things are set up. I think we will know a lot more after Monday's meeting, which is going to be live streamed. So I will drop that link in the chat as well. And Carly and Sam and everyone, you can send it out to everybody if they want to watch it, but can't make it to Columbus. The other thing I wanted to say is when some organizations have reached out to me to ask how they can begin preparing, and my advice has been to look over the approved purposes and think about what areas your projects would fit into, because again, it does have to fit into one of those bullets. Again, there's 9 pages, so it's pretty broad, but it has to fit there. And to think of projects that might be at different price points, because we don't know exactly how big those buckets coming to Region 12 are going to be. So if you start thinking and brainstorming now with that in mind, when you do find out the total amounts that might either be coming to the region or to a specific local government you were hoping to work with, you'll be a little bit more prepared. But again, I think once the foundation does meet, we might have some more information on that.
So I have one more question around, because I didn't get through the whole toolkit. But there was one comment in there I just feel like I need clarity on. It said regional opioid funds must equitably serve the needs of the entire region. And I guess my question is, are we looking solely at projects that would serve the whole 12 counties? Or are we looking at, when we talk about equitably, that we have the possibility of multiple projects, but it's designed that, you know, financially we're equitably serving the 12 counties? Does that make sense?
Rachel, I'll let you take this one.
So again, I'm not an attorney, and that language, if it is pulled directly from the MOU, has obviously not been litigated or anything at this point. But I do not think, from the plaintiff's executive committee who drafted this and the Attorney General's office folks who were in on it, and involved in that process, I do not think that they intended for every project that gets funded to have to be across all 8 counties in your region. So I think it is more to say, okay, we're not going to give all the money to Perry County. Every single dollar is going just to Perry. You know, I mean, it's more for that. But again, not an attorney, would definitely ask when we get to that point, would definitely be asking legal counsel. But I do not think that the intent was to have every single project have to touch every single county in the region.
Glad I asked. Thank you.
It's a good question. Alrighty. Anybody else have any questions for Rachel or myself?
Hey, Carly, do me a favor. It's Charlie here in Washington County. Send me that toolkit again. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah,
I have it.
And Clinton also.
Yeah, me too. I have it in front of me. If Carly, if you don't have it.
I don't think Guernsey County got one either, Carly.
I'll just send it out to everybody. Does that work?
There you go. That'll work. That'll be good.
Okay.
This came through the Ohio Municipal League about 3 months ago.
I will also say that it is a pretty lengthy document. So it might be in an email that Carly sent you that is as a link, not necessarily a physical document. So if you get an email from her and there's not an attachment, it's because it's pretty sizable, and I don't know if it would send it as an email. So
Yeah, I'll
just
try
be
to
on the
link it.
lookout for that too.
Yeah, I'll try to link it as a copy and then it should send through. But if not, just feel free to contact me directly and I'll be more than happy to make sure you get that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I will let Amy Shadwick with the Attorney General's office know that Mayor Mason is our state board representative, and he will be representing Region 12 at the State Foundation Board meeting on Monday, as he's already planned to do so. And we will meet again June 9th at 4 p.m. I will send all this information on the email just to recap. And we will hear back from Mayor Mason on how that first meeting went, and I'll send out the toolkit. I think
I'll work on my shorthand.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you all so much.
Yes,
Rachel, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Rachel, can you make sure that you drop that link, please, to watch that meeting on Monday? Thank you.
Will that be saved in any way or just live streamed? That's it.
If it's through the state, I would assume it gets saved to their YouTube, but I could be wrong.
Oh.
It's a YouTube live stream, so I think that's right, Sam. I just put it in the chat, and Carly can probably grab it and send it out to you all too in an email, so it doesn't disappear when this ends. Thank you for the reminder, whoever reminded me. I think it was Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah, please send that link in an email if you would. That would be great.
Yes, let me copy that. Ooh. And I will make sure I also add this in the email. Okay, everyone. I think we are good to go. Any other questions, concerns?
Thanks, Carly.
Thank y'all. You guys have a great Friday and a good weekend.
Thank you.
Yes, you too.
Good night.